Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of Dreadlocks. I'm Gunther the Great, and today we're going to be looking at white people with dreadlocks, or Caucasians with dreadlocks, or straight hair dreadlocks, whatever way you want to put it. We're going to be looking at them today, and I'm actually really excited. I actually really like straight hair dreadlocks. I like the way dreadlocks look like on white people. I like, honestly, dreadlocks on anybody. Indians, Mexicans, Chinese, Asian, whatever it is. I think they look really good, and it's really cool to see the different variations, also the different types. I'm one of those people that kind of gets annoyed when people don't let people have their own hairstyle, especially when it comes to white people with dreadlocks. That's why this video is all about white people with dreadlocks, because I feel like they get a lot of flack and there's such a bad stigma that comes with it, and I just wanted to look at some people's dreadlocks and appreciate them today. I feel like I try to balance as much appreciation between, black people with dreadlocks, Chinese people, anybody, like literally anybody that I see with dreadlocks. I love and appreciate them, and I want to share them with you guys. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at a few, and the reason I'm actually making this video is because of this comment that was left on a video about Lil Pump the other day. And it says, I mean, he's white. The dreadlock style wasn't meant for his hair in the first place. Now, this is just an opinion. Now, obviously, Lil Pump isn't white, but we can look at his dreadlocks today, and I can explain to you why people think that and why it seems that way. But this is a comment that I see so often with white people with dreadlocks or straight hair dreadlockers or anything like that, that it wasn't meant for them. It's just like saying chocolate cake wasn't meant for black people or something like that, or anything like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I completely understand where everyone's coming from, because people with straight hair, it's harder for their hair to actually lock up. You have to actually maintain it in order for it to lock up, versus people with coarse and, very tight curl patterned hair. It is easier for it to lock up. So I understand where they're coming from with their opinion, but it doesn't mean that you can't get dreadlocks. So if you want to get them, go ahead and get them, and don't let people stop you. Just know that there is a stigma that comes with it, that people are out there that don't like it. But there's people out there that don't like everything. There's people out there that don't like people that chew gum. There's people out there that don't like people that read. The list can go on and on. But just know that anything that you do that is going against the grain, so to speak, people are not going to like it. But obviously, do everything in accordance to how you want to be presented. If you want to be accepted and presentable, do whatever you feel is necessary to do that. But guys, let's look at some dreadlocks. But we're gonna start out with Lil Pump, just because of that comment right there. And obviously, he is not white. I'm actually not sure what he is. It's one of those like Colombian or something like that. I don't know what it is. You guys can comment down below. A lot of you guys do know, but he isn't white. But he does have more of a wavy or a looser curl pattern. That's why people think that, and why his dreadlocks look the way that they do is because he has more of a looser curl pattern versus his hair being a very tight curl pattern. So with that being said, a lot of people think he is white with dreadlocks. With his hair type, I'd probably say he is about a 3A, could be a 2C, but he has a very loose curl pattern. So I'm gonna probably say like a 2C. And that's why you see at the roots of his hair right here that they are very loose. And with straight hair dreadlocks, this is going to come with it, that your roots are typically going to be quite loose because of it being straight. With curly hair, you have to keep in mind that curls are always constantly trying to retract. So with that, it keeps everything nice and tight. But with loose, or I would say straight hair, it wants to be loose. And that's just naturally how straight hair is. It doesn't want to curl up and cling onto other items, or not other items, but other hair. Because with curly hair, it'll literally cling onto the other curly hair. But with straight hair, it's just flowing around. So that's why there is kind of a stigma that comes with it. But just know that if you want to get dreadlocks with straight hair, you're going to have to put some maintenance into it, and it's going to take some work. But with everything comes work, and with any kind of dreadlocks, there comes work. But there are a few people that I want to look at today, just that I found on Instagram, that I think had some really interesting dreadlocks. This one right here is really cool. I feel like people with straight hair dreadlocks have a very unique style. In my opinion, I like this style to where they keep it pretty loose at the roots and then everything else is really locked up. This just allows it to be more of a natural look, and I feel like it flows a whole lot better. But obviously, you want to have your dreadlocks or your hair however you like it, whatever pleases you. And I honestly think these look really cool. With my opinion, with straight hair dreadlocks, I think this is I would say, kind of the iconic style of wearing your hair with straight hair. Just because I feel like it's super suitable, and this is what to expect with straight hair dreadlocks. Now, obviously, you can maintain it all the way down to the roots. You can have it that way as well. But the biggest thing is you want them to look very natural and very, I would say, not loose, but very mature. So with that being said, they can be very tight, but let them be mobile as well. Don't tie them all the way down to the roots, because then they have the possibility of standing up. And that's with any hair type, really. So here we go again. In this next photo, we see that the roots are very loose, not as maintained as the links of the dreadlocks. Now with these, they look very maintained at the tips and everything else. Now obviously, probably not at the tips because they're a little wispy, and that's something to expect as well with straight hair dreadlocks. But if you have straight or just even a little bit of wavy hair, expect that your tips aren't going to blunt off as easy if it were to be more of a tighter curl pattern. Because with your hair being straight, like I said many times before, your hair just doesn't want to link up with any other hair. It wants to kind of just flow around. But with curly hair, it'll want to link with other curly hair. That's why locks lock a whole lot quicker and easier with curly hair versus straight hair, but it's still possible with crochet needling, palm rolling, all these other things that implement and help straight hair dreadlocks. Now this next one, we see that he has his tips very blunted off, but at the same time, if you look at his hair, you can see that it's quite frizzy. Now this is another thing to expect with straight hair dreadlocks, that they tend to be a little bit more frizzy. Like I said, these are things that you're going to deal with, and I definitely want to put you on game about, because these are things that come with it. And if you don't, constantly maintain it, it's going to be like this. But let me tell you something. If you were to maintain your hair completely with straight hair dreadlocks, it's going to look completely fine, and it all just takes time and patience. Those are the two main ingredients to perfect dreadlocks, is time and patience. But if you guys do want to get rid of the frizz, do palm rolling. Palm rolling actually works out a ton. If you keep on doing that, what it does is it creates not only friction, but warmth to your hair in order for your hair to link up together. Because if you keep rubbing, if you're palm rolling like this, it's causing your hair to actually become frizzy and link up together, because you want your hair to become frizzed so that it can connect, because you can't use curls because your hair doesn't have curls. Now I've seen people actually have straight hair and then get a perm and then get dreadlocks, but essentially it's only helping for the time of your hair actually holding the perm. But once that perm is gone or your perm grows out, it's not really benefiting your hair. So I wouldn't recommend it, but can you do it? Yeah, you can. So this other one right here, we see that the tips are also frayed as well. And this is honestly a good look with straight hair dreadlocks. It kind of just shows that you have them and you're owning up to them. And I think, in my opinion, this is, like I said earlier, the iconic style of straight hair dreadlocks is having the loose roots and then the loose tips, and then having the links of your dreads very maintained. This is, like I said multiple times, this is kind of what just comes with it, because with curly hair or very tight curl patterns, with like the 4s or the 3s and the hair types, they tend to lock up better on their own around the tips and the roots area. And that's just how the cookie crumbles. But overall, you can see how all these have their own kind of unique style, because they all come in different shapes and sizes, obviously. You can do all these with twist and rip. You can do back combing, palm rolling, crochet hooking. All these are great methods in order to get straight hair dreadlocks. So I'll link all the methods down below on how to actually get them, and I'll also link crochet needle down below, which I'll talk about that really quick. That's the product of the day, which is a crochet needle. The crochet needle is perfect for straight hair dreadlocks and for anybody with dreadlocks in general, because hands down, and you can use it in any stage that you're in with your dreadlocks. If you're starting out, use a crochet needle. If you've had your dreadlocks for about 3 years, you can still use a crochet needle, because you can keep on maintaining frizz and loose ends with a crochet needle. So I'll link that down below. It can also be found on greatlocks.com, and greatlocks.com has all of your dreadlock needs, especially for straight hair, because with straight hair you're going to need a lot of maintenance. Go on there and find many maintenance tools and also tutorials on how to start and maintain your dreadlocks, and also some products that you can use for your hair. Now guys, right here we have another set of dreadlocks. These are really long, and one thing that I want to mention about straight hair dreadlocks, there's a lot of times that you run in to people that have extensions with their straight hair dreadlocks, and it's completely fine. And I'm actually going to move on to this next photo right here, to where you see that she has straight hair and then they installed dreadlock extensions with the hair. And this is actually more common than you would think. People actually would get the dreadlock extensions and install them into their hair, which isn't a bad idea, because say if they don't want them in the long run, they can always cut them out, and then their hair will appear as if they never even had dreadlocks, versus cutting them all the way to their scalp if they did it themselves with their entire hair. Because essentially what they're doing is, a lot of times when they install dreadlock extensions, is they just take your hair and they wrap it around the extension, and they can do some crochet hooking to pull in all that hair into the dreadlock extension, or they can just leave it as is and do like dreadlock jewelry on top of it and everything like that. but there are like semi-permanent and then there's also permanent ways of actually doing this. So just look up tutorials on how to install dreadlocks or dreadlock extensions with straight hair. There's plenty of ways to do it, but this is something that's very common that I have noticed with straight hair dreadlocks, is that with a lot of women, and also what I've noticed is that there's a lot more women with straight hair dreadlocks, it seems, than men with straight hair dreadlocks. But that's just what I've noticed. You guys can let me know down below, but I've noticed more women. I've also noticed a frequency of dreadlock extensions, which is completely fine, and I think it looks great. But guys, you've seen with all these photos today that there are a lot of people with straight hair dreadlocks, and at the same time they are very unique in their styles, which I think is actually pretty cool. So comment down below who is your favorite, and also let me know down below if you do have straight hair dreadlocks. And don't forget to go follow Dreadlocks on Instagram and tag us if you want to be featured. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.